Between May and July 2021, Ways undertook a pilot project in the southern Melbourne area, delivered in partnership with private risk and safety company Protective Group. Enabled through the generous support of Dr Fleur Nicholson, we named the pilot the Nicholson Project. Women referred to Ways by police following a family violence incident increasingly report they are being tracked, stalked and controlled by the perpetrator online and using technology. Worryingly, many remain vulnerable, unaware this often hidden form of abuse is happening to them and their children. Intervening as early as possible to disrupt a perpetrator from using online means and technology to continue their abuse is not always part of the immediate response provided by services to keep victims safe. While the number of family violence victims receiving an assessment for technology-facilitated abuse slowly increases, this service until now has been required to be delivered face-to-face. The Nicholson Project sought to innovate through both the remote delivery and the timing of an assessment service. A remote assessment screened for the presence of or vulnerability to technology-facilitated abuse, intervening to disrupt and implement measures to keep devices and online use safer and out of reach of the perpetrator. Timeliness of an assessment was also important. Intervening as early as practicable to disrupt technology abuse and eliminate vulnerabilities in technology use would be a key protective factor for victims, providing them with increased safety and protection from further abuse by the perpetrator, as well as the confidence to manage the safety of their technology use. Over a 3-month period, Ways offered a remote technology assessment provided by Protective Group to 44 women during contact with them after they had experienced family violence. Within 24 hours of initial contact with the victim, we asked a screening question about technology-facilitated abuse. Are you concerned the perpetrator may be able to find out where you are, harass or control you using technology and online? Whether the answer was yes, no, or I don't know, we offered the victim a remote technology assessment and gained their consent. Within 2 days of initial contact, we organised the remote assessment with Protective Group and sent the victim a 3-question pre-assessment survey via text message. An interpreter was organised for the remote assessment if needed. Within 4 days of initial contact, the remote assessment had been completed and a report provided by Protective Group. Within 48 hours of the service being delivered, a post-assessment survey was sent to the victim via text message. If during the remote assessment it was discovered there was a likelihood devices may have been placed by a perpetrator in a victim's car or house, where safe to do so, a follow-up on-site assessment was arranged with Protective Group. 73% of the victims we offered the assessment to engaged with it. 27% did not go through with the assessment as their circumstances changed. 56% of those who received the remote assessment provided feedback. Our simple pre- and post-assessment survey set out to understand whether the remote assessment had any impact on the victim's sense of safety and confidence. The latter included confidence in keeping themselves safe when using technology or online. 28% felt safer, 33% felt the same level of safety, 11% felt less safe. 56% felt more confident. 17% felt the same level of confidence, 6% felt less confidence. Based on survey results, the greatest impact of the remote assessment was on the victim's confidence, to know they were not being tracked and abused via technology, as well as in their knowledge and ability to manage their use of technology and online platforms. The 4 most significant learnings of the Nicholson Project pilot were: that cultural implications, including language barriers, can create difficulties in facilitating remote tech checks, and that interpreters and information in language are important. Practical implications are also important. Initially, we found that some victims did not have their devices to be checked, fully charged, or any information at hand about the accounts that were being used. On occasions, the sheer number of devices to be checked during the assessment was only discovered at the time of the assessment. Victims who did not believe they were experiencing technology-facilitated abuse were reluctant to participate in the project. Not being aware of this form of abuse did not mean it wasn't necessarily happening. Accompanying children and young people are victims too, and may be used as proxy abusers by the perpetrator. In the very early stages of the pilot, the need to include the devices and, where possible, social media use and settings used by the woman's children became acutely apparent. Disrupting tech abuse and making devices and accounts safer for one family member would not stop perpetrators accessing the devices of their children through account settings and other means. The pilot acknowledged this was a gap, and accompanying children were then also provided with a remote assessment, with the adult victim survivor present. This strengthened the protective factor for all members of the immediate family unit from the perpetrator using technology to commence or continue abuse. WAYS intends to expand upon the learnings from this pilot project to provide early access to remote digital assessment for more victims impacted by family violence in partnership with Protective Group. The ability to deliver this service remotely in the first instance provides huge potential to scale this up to make this kind of support available to more victims of family violence across Victoria and Australia.